Hi again, everybody. Welcome to Inside Golf. I'm Harry Donahue. And coming up on today's show, we're going to talk to a gentleman, a native of Doylestown, who got into the business of providing the Caddie Bibs for the Par 3 tournament at the Masters tournament. It all began a little more than a year ago. His name is Justin Pilllmore, and he's going to tell us the story about how first he got the idea, how he made a contact at Augusta National, and how it really took off by talking to one of the wives of the competitors. And now he expects virtually all of the youngsters caddying for their fathers or grandfathers at the Par 3 tournament to be wearing those white Caddie Bibs that he came up with the idea of providing for them to do just that at the Par 3 tournament. We'll be back. Justin Pilllmore and the children's Caddie Bibs at Augusta National. Next on Inside Golf.
Inside Golf is presented by Destination Montco Golf. 54 courses, 300,000 yards. Check them out at montcogolf.com. By the First Tee of Philadelphia. The First Tee helps young men and women become better golfers, but most important, better people. Get involved. Visit thefirsttphiladelphia.org. By the Golf Association of Philadelphia, GAP, celebrating amateur golf since 1897. By Jersey Man Magazine, it's a Jersey way of life. And by Philly Man Magazine, bringing it to Broad Street. By the Haverford Trust Company, quality is in our DNA. And by Inside Golf's partner since 1998, the Philadelphia Section PGA, experts in the game and business of golf. Take time to thank your local PGA golf professional.
Golf has always provided the health benefits of fresh air, focus, and fun. Now let's apply social distancing to the game we love.
Stay home if sick and always stay 6 feet apart and avoid large gatherings on the course.
Try thumbs ups or fist pumps, not handshakes or fist bumps.
When in doubt, just don't touch and wash your hands.
Mark your ball clearly and wear a cloth facial covering when taking a lesson.
Finally, respect your fellow golfers, and let's be grateful for every swing.
And welcome back. Inside Golf continues now as we talk to a gentleman who has come up with a novel idea. It's related to the Par 3 tournament at Augusta National. He's sort of a Delaware Valley native. He spent a lot of his time growing up in Bucks County, Doylestown area, Central Bucks West High School. And his name is Justin Pilllmore. And he speaks to us today from down in Arkansas, Bentonville, Arkansas, to be exact. Justin, welcome to Inside Golf.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here and excited to kind of share our story and tell you a little bit about what we do and kind of how it got started.
Absolutely. It is a fascinating story. It kind of took off a couple of years ago, Justin. Anybody who has watched the Par 3 tournament at the Masters, which is held on Wednesday every year, is sort of, I guess, lured into watching not just the golf, but it's a family-style event in many ways. A lot of the players over time have used their kids to be their caddies. Not just one. They may have 2 or 3 children, maybe more, who kind of lug the bag around for dad. And it's kind of an interesting little, I guess, Augusta National feature now. However, in the last couple of years, we've seen how a lot of these kids, and some of them are hardly able to walk,
Yep.
are carrying a bag with the traditional white Caddie bib that is used at Augusta National. And that's where Justin Pilllmore comes in. Tell us about your story and how you now are in the process of expanding your business and providing those Caddie Bibs for the children of Augusta competitors.
Yeah. So it's pretty amazing how it all got started. I just moved down to Bentonville, Arkansas about a year and a half ago. But I was living in Sellersville, northern Bucks County at the time. And I was actually at home watching the Par 3, and my son was sitting on my lap. At the time, he was 2 years old. So this was about 2 years ago. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I would love to have one of those bibs. I'll just go grab it on, online, Amazon, out there. Pretty simple. Well, I go out there and I spend about 3 hours searching for a Caddie Bib, and there's nothing out there. So I essentially say to my wife, I say, hey, I really want this. I'm not giving up on it. I'm going to go create it. If I need to place an order, they're not going to do just one. So now I've got to figure out how to sell. At the time, it was 100 of these things. My wife just shakes her head and she says, you're crazy. I've got about five of my buddies that would take them, but I've still got, 90 to 95 to unload. So the clothing manufacturer agrees. They come out with an amazing product. Now I've got to unload all these things. Well, my first idea is let me just give a call to Augusta and see what they say. Sure enough, the Caddie Master says to me, I love it. Send me a sample. Because at the time, for the last about 15, 20 years, the kids have been showing up with kind of all different uniforms. So they'll go to their local, the kids at the Par 3 contest will go to their local seamstress and have it created. So there was nothing uniform about the kids' uniforms at the Par 3 contest. So I go to the Caddie Master. He says, send one down. I send it down. He absolutely falls in love with it. He said the best thing at the time was for me to interact with the players. They didn't want to right now they give them all to the real caddies, but they didn't want to have that going on. They would have rather just had the players interact with me. I send them the size, and then we work it out from there. So sure enough, year one, we had about 60% of the uniforms at the Par 3 contest. So it was hard to tell because we didn't see all the kids, but we estimate about 60%. And that was in 2019. That was our first year. This November coming up, we should have about 90 to 95% of the kids at the Par 3 contest. So year two is pretty exciting.
So it's a growth industry.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's pretty
among
amazing.
some of the most elite golfers and their kids in the world. Justin, stay with us. We're going to come back to you in Bentonville and talk a little bit more about this little idea that has turned into a big project for you at Augusta National. Stay with us. More to come with Justin Pilllmore and Caddie Uniforms. It's quite an idea, folks. We'll be back with more on Inside Golf. And welcome back. Inside Golf continues with Justin Pilllmore. He's down in Bentonville, Arkansas. By the way, this little background shot, people have been asking. It is from Union Lake National Golf Club right outside Avalon, and it is the new 8th hole on the Sherman course. Wow. I'll tell you what, it's supposed to open in July, and Dana Fry, the architect, has done quite a job. This is going to be the signature hole down there. But let's talk more to Justin about Caddie Uniforms, specifically for the young caddies, the children of the Masters competitors during the Par 3 competition. It started last year, 2019, and as you just heard, Justin told us in the previous segment, he expects to have about 95% of the children caddies lugging the bags of their dads around on that Par 3 tournament, wearing the little Caddie Bibs that he has designed. Justin, take us back before the 2019 Masters. The Caddie Master said, the Caddie Master at Augusta National said probably the best way to get this thing off the ground is to contact the players or their wives. And that's what you did. Who was the first person who actually got back to you and said, hey, we're in. How do we get one of these?
Yeah. So I actually, my parents live down in Charlotte, North Carolina, and they go to church with Webb Simpson and his family. So they actually have a mutual friend, and they said, hey, the only professional golfer we know is Webb Simpson. So let's actually just pass some pictures on to the friend. The friend shared it with Dowd Simpson, Webb's wife. And once she saw it, she was just amazed. She actually has 5 kids. And she said, this is perfect for me because once again, the kids are growing like weeds. They're constantly in and out of uniforms. She's like, please, I need these right now. So I sent her those. And then really from there, she was a huge advocate for the uniforms, between all the different wives and the different PGA Tour players' wives.
So the word spread rather quickly. And the good thing about this, like I mentioned earlier, some of these children are 3 or younger, and if their fathers keep making it back to Augusta, they're going to need new bibs every year. So that's going to help you out a little bit, right? Because they won't be able to fit into the original bib that you gave.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. And I think for me is I want to develop a relationship, and I want them to know that I'm on their side. I'm going to take care of them. Actually, one of the coolest things is the week of the Masters on Monday. Pretty much all the families are in town by then. We actually meet at a local seamstress in Augusta, not a few miles from the course. And that's where we do all the hemming and the alterations to kind of get them the perfect size. So it's really a nice way for me to meet the players' wives, meet the kids, and kind of put a face to a name after we've been interacting on email and on the phone. So really just for me is I want them to know that I'm on their side. I'm going to take care of them, whatever. And there's it's a busy week for them down there. And the last thing they want to deal with is some issues with their uniform.
Now, the uniform itself has the Masters logo on it, correct? Did you have any trouble with Augusta National in terms of, getting the licensing or whatever it is to put that logo on those bibs?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. One of the the general public orders these. Actually, kind of the interesting thing is about 90% of our business is from the general public for Halloween, Father's Day, birthday gifts. But everybody asked me, hey, I want the Augusta National logo. And we actually are not permitted to create it. We don't even create it for the kids' uniforms. And I have kind of a sample right here, but what you'll see on the uniform is essentially our uniforms have a number and then kind of a blank spot. And the blank spot is where Augusta National creates the logo. So the kids show up with a uniform just like this, and then Augusta National actually hands them the badge, the Masters badge. And then after the round is over, Augusta National actually takes the badge back from the kids.
I see.
They'll also create, I have my son's name on the back of this one, but they'll also create the name badge for the kids. So if it's Simpson, if it's Webb Simpson, they'll put Simpson on it. And then the kids actually get to keep that. So it's kind of like a keepsake for them. So Augusta National allows them to keep the name badge, but they do take the Masters badge back from the kids. And we are not the ones that create the Masters badge.
I got you. So everything that you create except the actual logo, and that is sort of like a temporary put on during the competition, and everything else they get to keep. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Tell me about, do you have any problems getting into the tournament? I mean, golf club manufacturers, swing coaches, goes to media, they all have credentials. Do you get a credential, for instance, for November in the Masters this year?
Yeah, I wish. That would be a dream come true. So I am just like every other person that's watching this right now. I go down there with a hope and a prayer and a dream of getting in, and it's kind of like a who once you get down there. And I didn't know anybody last year. I was fortunate enough the Caddy Master was able to get me a badge for Berkman's place, which is kind of an exclusive area down there. So I was able to get into that last year on Tuesday. And then Audrey Leishman, who's Mark Leishman's wife, she texted me Wednesday morning just going over some details. And she asked if I was going to be in there. I said, no, I'm just hanging outside the gates hoping for something. And she texted me, and I still get goosebumps this day. She said, go to my rental house. She gave me the address. Somebody had a ticket there waiting for me. And literally the par 3 contest, this was my very first time watching the par 3 contest with my own eyes. I walked in at noon, and it started right at noon. So I got to see the whole thing, and it was probably one of the best days ever.
So as we speak right now, you're still on the outside hoping to get in November.
Exactly.
You got to call Mrs. Leishman.
I know, right? And actually this year I'm bringing my 4-year-old son down with me. So it's going to be.
Is he going to wear a Caddie Bib?
I hope so. He'll get inside the ropes maybe.
Get him a hat.
Exactly.
Justin, I have to ask you before we close with you, any green jacket winners of the past who have requested Caddie Bibs for their children or grandkids?
Yeah, so probably every time I get an email is like I'm still blown away to this day. But one of our first ones was Danny Willett. We had Trevor Immelman. We've had Ben Crenshaw. So these are kind of Trevor Immelman and Ben Crenshaw. This is their first year that we're doing theirs. Bubba Watson. This will be our first year working with him. And kind of the one that blew me away, I'm still in shock today, was Jack Nicklaus. It just shocked me. We got his grandkids, which is pretty awesome. So
the grandfather of them all.
Yes, sir. That's right.
That's good stuff. Give us your contact info and how people, I'm sure a lot of people would like to have maybe something like that, like you said, Halloween or a birthday or Christmas present. How do they get in touch with Caddie Uniform and Justin Fillmore?
Okay, so the best place is caddieuniform.com. No S, it's just caddieuniform.com. And then on Instagram and Twitter, same thing, Caddie Uniform.
Okay.
But yeah, that's really how the whole idea started. Was I wanted one for Halloween for my son, and we're sitting there and watching it, and there was nothing available. So I said, let's do it. Let's make it happen. And here we are 2 years later, and it's pretty amazing to kind of watch how it's all grown.
That's a fantastic story, Justin. That's true entrepreneurship, and that's a great job by you. Good luck. I hope you get in there. Okay?
Hey,
with your son. You're making memories for a lot of kids.
Thank
for
you.
your own son, that would be pretty special. Justin Pilllmore, ladies and gentlemen, Caddie Uniform. What an idea. Justin, thank you. Good luck at this year's Masters.
Thank you, Harry. Take care.
And we'll be back. More to come here on Inside Golf.
Well, I think there's an enormous amount of advice out there. And the problem, of course, is all of it's pretty vanilla. It's generic for all the different types of golfers.
Welcome back. Inside Golf continues. It's time to put a peg in the ground and get teed off with our panel, talking about a specific golf topic again this week. And joining us from the Golf Association of Philadelphia, where he is the president, Mr. Quinn Spitzer. Quinn, good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you too, Harry. Thank you.
Joe Logan is from myphillygolf.com. Still sporting that beard, Joe? Looking good.
Hey, the barbershops aren't open yet.
Okay, there you go. Matt Fry is the Director of Communications for the Philadelphia section of the PGA of America. How are you today, Matt?
I'm doing well, Harry. Thank you very much for having me.
Let's go back to Quinn. Quinn, I'm sure at your youthful age now, you have received a lot of golf advice and sought it out from teachers or maybe a magazine. You can't pick up a magazine or a video these days related to golf. Every morning, I subscribe to an email services that always have a tip or a podcast where they have included in there some sort of a lesson. I mean, my head's blowing up. When I got to be honest, you got to filter some of this stuff out, but it's easier said than done sometimes. Are we getting oversaturated with advice?
Well, I think there's an enormous amount of advice out there. And the problem, of course, is all of it's pretty vanilla. It's generic for all the different types of golfers, and each golfer has their own unique problems. And so I've always found that the dealing with the local professional live on the golf course has been much more effective for my game, because I have a weird swing and they can look at exactly what I'm doing at a particular moment, and they seem to be able to go ahead and correct it. The best piece of advice I ever got, though, was my caddy in Scotland, my home course there. I was on a par 5, and I asked him, I said, George, what do I need to do here? How much do I have left on the par 5? He said, you have a driver and you have a 3-wood and a wedge, but hit the wedge first because your short game's so bad.
That's the line of that. We ought to end it right there, Quinn. That's fantastic. Joe, how about you?
Yes. I mean, I've had
You topped that, I guess.
I've had a lot of lessons over the years with a lot of advice. And I would have to say that whenever I'm sort of playing crummy, the thing I always come back to that helps my swing is to concentrate on my tempo. If I just get my tempo right, so many other things just fall right into place. I also love these lessons. YouTube, they're all over the place. You can't, it's there, it's the internet. It's going to be there for a while. It's not going away.
Oh, I know. And Matt, like I was saying, you can turn on a video of, say, how to hit a 3-wood, okay, off a downhill lie. Well, how to hit a 3-wood off just a nice even lie. And you can look at 3 or 4 different examples and get 3 or 4 different pieces of advice, it seems, from guys. And after a while, it's like you just want to say, you know what, I'm not going to click it on anymore. I'm just going to go out there. And like Quinn said earlier, his swing's a little different. There's no such thing, I don't think, as a perfect swing anymore, is there, Matt?
No, there isn't. And there's no perfect swing because nobody has the exact same swing. And I think videos and tips you see in the magazines are a good jumping off point, but they're not going to fit everybody. Just because 5 people slice, that doesn't mean they're all doing the exact same wrong thing. So it's just the same thing as going on to WebMD, looking something up and thinking you have the next worst disease. It's probably just something minor that your local club pro can fix. And just to say what Quinn mentioned, you can look at something in a magazine, but go to your local PJ professional and they can help get you straightened out.
Quinn, was there at any time in your golf career you got a good piece of advice, though? Something that really helped you, whether it was your grip, your lining up, anything that really helped you almost immediately. You know what I mean?
I tell you this, so one of the things that happened to me a number of years ago, I occasionally have problems, as a number of golfers do, with the shanks. And when I get them bad. And I need an emergency lesson in order to go ahead and get back on track. And the pro that I use, Jack Conley, took a wooden, one of these cardboard boxes that a golf club comes in, set it down right next to the ball and said, you just have to swing. I don't want you to hit that box. For some reason or other, mentally, that took the shank away instantly. And I still have a box like that in my garage. And every time they come back, that box comes straight out and I'm able to fix it pretty quickly.
How about you're a brave guy. You actually mentioned the word shank. Most people just say the S word. I mean, they don't even want to.
You're not allowed to say it on the golf course.
That's pretty good. How about you, Joe? Any one piece of advice that really helped you almost immediately from somebody giving it to you?
Well, yeah, I had a pro tell me once, why don't you take a few days off and think about quitting the game?
Lee Trevino, right?
So I don't know. I've had so many lessons from so many pros, dating back to the time I was like 12 years old, up to Jeff Surratt. Matt's boss gave me a couple of lessons a few years ago. So
what was it that he tried to correct?
Putting. I'm a horrible putter. I can be that, and just the things that I do wrong, I tend to do wrong over and over. And there are things I've often done wrong all of my golfing life. So I'm at a point now where I can look at the ball flight and have a pretty good idea of what it was I did wrong on that swing because I've been doing it for 45 years.
All right. Matt, you got about 30 seconds. Give us a final thought on good advice you got.
The best piece of advice that I've gotten, because it's so easy not to screw up, is one swing thought. Because if you have too many things going on in your head during your swing, it's not going to work out.
Keep it simple.
Yes,
Matt
sir.
Fry, Quinn Spitzer, Joe Logan. That's teed off. More to come on Inside Golf in just a moment.
It's an uneasy feeling to have our worlds grind to a halt. All across Montgomery County, from Ambler to Pottstown, Lansdale to Norristown, and everywhere in between. Although we have to pause travel right now, nothing will ever stop the powerful way travel changes us. And like our heroes of the past and our heroes of the present, we'll rise again, we'll fly again, we'll stay and play and thrive again. Because we're Montco strong, and we'll get through this together.
Well, that's going to do it for this week's edition of Inside Golf. Our thanks to Justin Pilllmore from Bucks County, is the man who came up with the idea of fitting those things perfectly for those young caddies to have some fun and make some memories at the par 3 tournament. I'm Harry Donahue. Remember, no matter how bad it's going for you out there, don't pick up. We'll see you next time right here on Inside Golf.
Inside Golf is presented by Destination Montco Golf. 54 courses, 300,000 yards. Check them out at montcogolf.com. By the First Tee of Philadelphia. The First Tee helps young men and women become better golfers, but most important, better people. Get involved. Visit thefirsttphiladelphia.org. By the Golf Association of Philadelphia, GAP, celebrating amateur golf since 1897. By Jersey Man Magazine, it's a Jersey way of life. And by Philly Man Magazine, bringing it to Broad Street. By the Haverford Trust Company. Quality is in our DNA. And by Inside Golf's partner since 1998, the Philadelphia Section PGA. Experts in the game and business of golf. Take time to thank your local PGA golf professional.